Right. Good morning, my friends, and welcome to our monthly wealth mastermind. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see my screen, please, Ryan DeLuca? Thank you, sir. As if you didn't catch Ryan DeLuca's presentation on Tuesday morning at the sales meeting, not going to tell you that it was like a rock concert because I haven't been to one of those, but people have described it as earth-shaking. So we should have that recording up maybe already, if not by the end of the day tomorrow. So appreciate you doing that for us, Ryan. Great time had by all.
Thank you, Mike.
Rachel says it. You were amazing. I've been saying it for years. People are finally starting to catch on. Today, we're going to have a conversation that may feel rudimentary to a lot of people, but it cannot be emphasized enough. There is an old business manager's quip that is, what gets talked about gets done. What gets talked about a lot gets done well. And when we think about our wealth journey, our scorecard is our net worth. And so we're going to walk through today, what is net worth? How is it calculated? What are the things that impact it? And how should I track it? For those of you who are familiar with it, or maybe already have an eye to it, great. Preaching to the choir is the only way that we will get them to sing. Today, we're going to walk through everything related to net worth, and then I'm going to give you some examples of how I personally track it. Long before I got into real estate, wrapping my head around net worth and wealth building was something that was really important to me for a myriad of personal reasons. And so I have been tracking my net worth on a weekly basis for more than half a decade. And some people would say that that is obsessive or unnecessary. And I would challenge anybody to have had the increases that I've had in my time. And that sort of awareness creates insights and leads to actions, and ultimately a system that is in constant flux and supported by some mentors. So let's dive in and talk about, hey, what exactly is net worth? Super simple concept here, team. It is everything you own minus everything you own. That is the layperson's definition of a net worth. The nerds in accounting would tell you that it is total assets minus total liabilities equals net worth. Or if you remember from your accounting 101 class, thinking back to those generally accepted accounting principles, the equation is ALE, A-L-E, assets minus liability equals equity, right? When we talk about the equity in somebody's home, it is the value of that asset, value of the home, minus the liability, the note that they owe on it, equals the equity that they can access. That's the same for your net worth. It's just going to be spread across several different buckets, right? And it's gonna come in many different ways and shapes and forms. Ultimately, your net worth is going to be a barometer for your financial security, which is going to impact your access to opportunities and your ability to transfer your wealth to the next generation, right? When we pass from this world to the next, we will leave something behind. It may be debt or it may be assets. If it's assets, then that is something that can move to next. When we talk about generational wealth, it's because of the transfer of assets from generation to generation, right? Versus, if we don't have a net worth or we don't have assets to transfer, or if our liabilities outweigh our assets, driving us into a negative net worth, that won't be possible. Grandpa and grandma's house will go to the bank or be sold to cover the cost of the mortgage against it. The other thing is, if you ever hear the term accredited investor, has anyone ever been presented with an opportunity to invest in something that is exclusive to accredited investors? So an accredited investor is somebody with over $1 million of net worth. And what it provides is access to opportunities that don't exist for lay people to log on to Robinhood.com or eTrade.com and start purchasing things. These are opportunities to get into first and second and safe rounds of funding. It could be opportunities to invest in certain REIT models. But your ability to represent your net worth as over $1 million can qualify you as an accredited investor, which puts you in a pool of individuals that have access to opportunities that other people don't, right? And so if you don't know what your net worth is, you'll never have those opportunities. So let's talk about assets. What are assets? Assets are things like cash in the bank, right? Cold, hard cash. You've talked to me for more than 5 minutes. You'll know that one of my personal and professional foci is cash on hand. Cash on hand is very important. Cash is still king. It could be investments, right? So this could be your 401k, your retirement accounts, your IRAs, your taxable investments, right? I call them taxable investments, but if I own $30,000 of Google stock and I sell it, that'll be a taxable event. I look at that as a taxable investment versus things like IRAs and 401ks that, or even HSAs that come with certain tax benefits, right? So anywhere that you are holding stock or cash or precious metals or anything for that matter, in an IRA, you could hold an investment property. We're actually going to learn about that next Wednesday at our Investor Mastermind about how to leverage your individual retirement account to purchase investment properties, which have fantastic returns. Your home or any investment properties are assets. The current selling price of your car, and I go back and forth on this one, and I've had the fights about cars as an asset, and but I think they're one of the things that you can quickly turn into cash, which is why I really like it as an asset. And for those people who collect cars, we have a few people in the office who have more cars than they have fingers and toes. Those are assets. Just like valuable items like art and collectibles and jewelry and things that you can readily transfer into cash, it would be considered an asset. I wouldn't add up all your I wouldn't add up all the furniture in your house and call it an asset. But in terms of you have a fancy painting or a really nice piece of jewelry that could be recorded as an asset, right? You would put it on an insurance document. Okay. Now, corresponding to assets are liabilities, right? So I'm going to flip back and forth between these two. But any balances owed on personal loans, right? You owe your brother $10,000. Okay, that's a liability. That's money that's going to have to come out, especially if there's a promissory note attached to it. Your credit card balances, right? So this is not what's past due on your credit card, is what is charged to it today. You got $8,000 owed on your credit card. If it's owed on the first of next month, it is a liability this month, right? Unpaid balances on your home mortgage, right? And this is going to be a really important concept to understand, is that as we look down the road and head down the road on our wealth building journey, we are going to find that many assets come with corresponding liabilities. And that's a good thing. And we're going to talk about why it's a good thing and why it's good debt that gets tied in there, right? Have you ever heard the term good debt, right? And you say like, well, geez, if you grew up in the household that I did, there was no debt that was good debt. It was akin to a sin to carry any debt. But there is good debt out there. There's also bad debt, or dumb debt is what I like to call it. And then your outstanding student loans or car loans, right? Really important. You have to own these assets for them to be your assets. If you lease a car, your lease is not an asset. It only lives as a liability, right? Which is why a lot of people would tell you a lease is dumb debt. You lease a vehicle, you only owe. You have no corresponding asset. And then any other obligations you have, alimony, child support, garnished wages, anything like that, those will exist as liabilities. So let's take a look at, my goal for you, my wish for you is that over this weekend, and we're going to get some rain on Sunday. Sunday's a great day to check your net worth and get your headset going for the next week. So we're supposed to get some rain on Sunday. And while you're not out there working in the yard or enjoying everything Northeast Ohio has to offer, I'm going to give you some tools and resources to go capture your net worth. And then just see where you compare. So this is the averages of net worth amongst each age bracket in the United States. And this is as of a report by Forbes, I think maybe sometime in the last 24 months. It is average net worth. Now, who knows the number one indicator as to whether or not you, how do I want to phrase this question? The net worth of what individuals is almost 5 times higher than that of another subset of individuals. Stephanie Harris for the win. Homeowners, on average, have 5 times the net worth of non-homeowners, of renters. Now, there's a few things that factor into this, so let's color that commentary. Most homeowners, more experienced in life, aged, you could say. We have older, very few people are buying homes at 22, 23 years old. Those who do, light years ahead of the rest of the world. But, so, folks who are further along in life are more likely to own a home. But even despite that, rent, remember, like, think about leasing a car, renting an apartment. Rent is only a liability. You cannot sell your lease, your 12-month lease, for more, right? You could technically lease it for more. We've seen people do that. Lease arbitrage is something that people have attempted. There's a lot of clauses that exist now that disallow that, and there's a lot of risk involved with it. But let's assume that you can't sell your lease. You only owe on it. So it only exists in the liability column. That's bad for net worth. Same thing with a car lease. So when you own a home, you have an asset and a corresponding liability, and then that liability drops each month. Here's a really important thing to consider. I would imagine, looking at who's on this call, you're going to look at these numbers and you are going to be well above the averages, right? They did not share, and I'm working on finding the median net worth on these, because that is going to be a better perspective on where the folks live, or where people in that group live, right? Because if I have 4 individuals with $100 in net worth and a $10,000 net worth individual is the 5th individual, I'm going to have my average net worth is going to be $2,080 when my median net worth is 100, right? And that's a much more realistic capture of where the man on the street or the layperson lives. But this is for perspective, and you can see how high it jumps from under 35 to over 35. And that is driven in large part due to household formation, which most commonly takes place at ages 32 or 33. Households form, and that is going to drive net worth immediately. So how do you track your net worth? This is, as they say, not rocket surgery. You're going to make a list of all of your assets. Oh, I have 401k from this, I worked at this company for these years. I got this 401k. I had this one and I rolled it into an IRA. Okay, what is I have this home, this investment property. I have this vehicle. I have this direct investment into a different company. I own shares of this company outright. Here's all my bank accounts. Right, get all of those together. Then you're going to, and don't worry about the numbers, just write down everything that you know that you have. We'll get the numbers later. Then you're going to create a list of all the liabilities you have. And if you have more than one credit card, you need a line item for every credit card. All right. I want the Macy's card. I want the Discover card and the American Express. And I want the Diners Club card, if you got that. And then you're going to put all your corresponding notes. Oh, here's my car loan. Here is I got a car loan. I got a house loan. I got an investment property loan. I have student loans. You know, I got $37,000 in student loans still. Just write all that down. Then we're going to build a spreadsheet. And guys, please don't panic. Like it is, you know, you're going to have columns and rows. You're going to type the name of the asset or liability at the top of the column. You're going to put numbers in the rows. I'm going to show you an example. I've redacted some information around mine that I can share with you, or not mine. I promise you, this is mine. And so and then you're going to set a regularly scheduled time to do it, right? Because let's see, who do I want to pick on here? Who took bold this time? Tracy Walker, you did, didn't you? You're in a position to chat. Go ahead and unmute.
Yes, I did.
What's that bold law if it's not on your calendar?
It doesn't exist.
That's right. That's right. And this is something that we have to capture. It's a real-time number, right? Like your net worth, you could go look at it right now, right? The value of capturing it on a consistent basis is that you're able to see movement and identify where you can continue to grow or where you have opportunity. The human eye, after tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, from, you know, throwing pointy sticks at animals in the wilderness, movement is the key to capturing our attention and to getting us into action, right? When we see things move, we become more interested and captivated. So when we're tracking our net worth over time, whether it's weekly or monthly or bi-monthly or whatever it is, whatever you're willing to sign up for me, it's weekly. You are able to put yourself in a position to see, oh, wow, in the last 90 days, my net worth has gone up $5,000, $10,000, $12,000, and you start tracking milestones. Holy cow, I have a positive net worth now. Holy cow, I have over $100,000 of net worth. And then that can get you excited about it. And then for those of you who have spouses, partners, children, I would encourage you to involve them in it. Everything is more fun with more people, I have found. So I have no spouses, no partners, no kids, but I do have some friends that are on this journey as well. And so we all track together and on separate sheets, and then we share out percentage growth or issues or headwinds. And so it creates a little bit of a community around it, which is super interesting. So I'm going to swap my share here and take you into this example that for net worth. So this is a super simple breakdown or spreadsheet. Can everyone see that? Can I get a thumbs up on we got eyes on this? Very cool. Thank you so much. So you can see this this individual, they track it weekly, right? Every Friday, the markets close at 4:30 p.m. And so any assets held in stock, mutual funds, things of that should be done moving for the week, right? And so that's a good time to lock in, because if you do it Thursday night and then Jerome Powell gets on the squawk box the next morning and lays an egg and the markets crash, like it's not an apples to apples comparison. So if you do it the same time every week, you're going to put yourself in a good position to have strong comparisons. So there's a 401k. At the time of starting this in 2018, the individual didn't have any. They had taxable investments, which, you know, is what we're calling just like your E-Trade account. Hey, I want to go in here. I want to buy some Coca-Cola. Give me some P&G. Give me a little just give me the Dow Jones Industrial Average, whatever. No direct investments. Direct investments would be something like, hey, I'm starting a company and I'll, I want you to invest $20,000 for 2% of the company. Cool. IRA, independent retirement account, individual retirement account, bonds, HSA, life insurance, right? You pay your life insurance policy. Cash on hand in the checking, emergency fund, additional savings account, money market account, anything that's in business banking, car value, property values, right? This individual has, one property as of 2018, some cash on hand, total assets of $261,500. That's how you calculate your assets. You take everything that you have and you say, hey, where is it? How much is it worth? And, for me, I've got bookmarks on every banking and E-Trade and financial planning. Everywhere that the number exists, I have bookmarks. So on Fridays at 4:30, I jam through, okay, take me to New York Life. Let's see what the life insurance policy is worth at the moment. Record that, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It takes less than 15 minutes on a weekly basis, and it helps my mindset going into the weekend and being able to foot it against my my personal P&L, my expense statements that get updated weekly as well. As we move over, so anything in red is a liability. So I've got a property value here of $100,000, and I've got a corresponding property liability of $49,500. So this is, I'm going to net, just on owning that property and paying the mortgage, I'm going to net, I've got $50,500 in net worth. Now, I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit, but this is why real estate investing is good debt. Because the next month, I'm paying out of my cash on hand, my liabilities, the mortgage note. My property value, we assume, hasn't moved in the last month, right? The assumption is that we're locking it in until which time I need to worry about it. I've paid $513, I think, is the payment against that property, monthly payment. And the corresponding debt has gone down by about $360, right? So I've just, by paying $530, I've added $360 to my net worth, versus renting, where I pay out whatever I pay out, and I have no corresponding gain in my asset column, or no corresponding gain in my net worth. And everyone, your first thought is, hey, to increase my net worth, I need to increase my assets. And yes, that is one of the two levers that you can pull. Most people think about increasing their assets. They want to go make more money. And yes, making more money is going to put you in a position to have more assets. However, when we have debt that we pay down, we are putting ourselves in a position to have less liabilities, which grows our net worth. So if we do both at the same time, right, we increase assets and lower liabilities, we are putting ourselves in a position to have some pretty rapid growth. So you can see there's property 2, there's no second property, there's no second note, there's no third property, there's no third note, there's no car value, so there's no car note. Personal credit card, right? This is just you capture, hey, what's everything owed on the card at this time? And then you have your total debt, right? So, hey, here's $261,500 of assets. Here is $64,000 and change of liabilities. The equation, very simple: assets minus liabilities, or assets minus total debt, gives me my net worth, $197,158.65, right? And then you can look, the next week, my debt went up, my net worth went down, and is a 1% change. The following week, debt went up, but assets went up more, making the net worth go back up 1.2% change, right? And so track it week to week, understand what's happening, understand why it's happening, and we can get really, really dialed in on what do we want to do next. Now, for some of you, you may have personal credit card debt, you may have debt consolidated, you may have student loan debt, you may have, a bunch of other things in here. That's fine. Put them all in a row and understand the total of them. And then the second Wealth Mastermind that we did this year in February, Pete Formica talked about something called the debt snowball. If you find that you've got 7 different things that have debt, right? You have personal credit card debt, you've got car debt, you've got personal loan that you owe to a family member, you've got a mortgage, all this debt. He talked about organizing into the debt snowball, which is where you attack the smallest debt first, right? You pay the minimum payment on everything, and then you knock out the first debt first. And then you roll that first debt's payment once it's knocked out into the second debt on top of the minimum payment. And you just knock your way through. Because if my net worth would be 1.5, look, just take, for example, this month here, where the personal credit card debt for this individual is over $6,000 and their total net worth is $200,000. That's 3% increase in net worth by clearing the credit card debt, right? That's pretty powerful. Stephanie, I see your hand up. What question do you have for me?
Yeah, quick question. Just going back to the life insurance. Is that as an asset, is that term life insurance? Is that the whole life insurance where you kind of like invest part of it?
That's whole life.
Okay.
Term's only going to have a value, unfortunately, if you
Gotcha.
need it.
Okay. Okay.
So then we'll jump down to, hey, here's 5 years later, right? For this individual, updated as of last week, 401k in place, taxable investments have tripled. You've got an IRA has almost doubled, direct investment here. Bonds are something that the individual got into. They have an HSA account, which is there's a triple tax benefit to HSA. You actually can put money in your health savings account, never use it for health savings, invest it. It is tax-free going in, tax-free coming out, and tax-free on growth. It is the only triple tax-free investment vehicle that exists that I'm aware of. And then the term life insurance policy, cash on hand, business banking, additional property, or car value here, property value for the first property value, second property value, net worth has risen, corresponding debts for the two property to offset, credit card debt, or not necessarily credit card debt, credit card balance. This is not just the debt, it is the balance as of that day. It's very important that you not say, well, I don't owe anything until June 5th, so I'm not going to count it. July 5th. And then corresponding net worth growth. And the opportunity here is, this is a neat thing, and this is some of the information shared by the person who taught me about this sheet, or actually introduced me to the sheet, which we just, in my circle of friends, we call it the sheet. One thing that they do is, you'll see there's no corresponding, there is no third property, right? There's no third property here. And there's no corresponding third property debt. So why are we putting it on the sheet? Well, this is this individual's, my friend's method for visual. It's like a visualization method, right? They are committed to buying a third investment or a third property, right? And what would be a first investment property this year. And so they put it on the sheet. And the reason that they do that is every single time they look at the sheet, they see they have to put a 0 in there and know that they haven't bought it. And so it's just a little nudge every time they do the work to go do the thing that they need to do, which is buy that third investment property. And same thing with having bonds, HSA, and life insurance. They did the same thing, right? A couple of years ago, they added those in there. And it's like, hey, I need to diversify investments in terms of my assets. I needed to look like, I've got a more balanced asset portfolio. So they start putting those things as columns on the sheet so that they're putting themselves in a position to know where they should put their money next. I think few things are as important as knowing where the money is going next as it is for a real estate agent, where in a given month, you could have a $20,000 influx or more in revenue. Well, where do you want that money to go? Because if you don't tell your money where to go, you're going to wonder where it went. And this sheet becomes not just a tracking device, but a tool, right? What other things are going to end up on this individual sheet in the future? I will have to ask them. I will protect the names of the innocent here. All these numbers have been multiplied and divided by various factors to make sure that there's no pertinent personal information being shared or any real numbers. And so another thing that exists in this individual sheet that I'll show you. Whoops. Oh, crap. Sorry, guys. Lost the share. One thing I'll show you is they have some additional tabs at the bottom where they actually put the amortization schedules for the properties so that they can see like how much they've paid in, what their monthly payment is, what they still owe on it. And that's how they calculate those for their various investment properties. Keep an empty schedule off to the side so that when they pick up the next asset that has a mortgage or has a payment schedule, they have it. So they can always quickly know what they owe and where they can get ahead, right? And then you get into the really fun stuff like, oh, this note's carried at 4.35%. What am I making on my money in the money market? Okay, I'm making 6.2% or whatever it was last month. And then doesn't make sense for me to just, if I was making 2% on my money, but paying 4% on my money, it would make sense to just take cash assets and pay off the balance of this this loan. Well, if I'm making more money with cash on hand, I can generate more interest and grow my assets because I've got money rented at a cheaper rate. So, and then there's the monthly tracking element, which is the same. All the same headers. It's just captured on the evening before the first of the month. So the last day of the month. And then another great thing to do, this individual tracks what they get paid, what their take-home pay is, what their taxes are, what it looks like, what's going to net in their bank account, and then foots that to how the net worth grows year over year over year. So let's jump back into the presentation. Real quick, any questions about the spreadsheet? I know it's almost cliche how spreadsheety I can be, but this is a super simple one. And I think somebody asked for the template. I'm not going to give you the template, and I'll tell you why. It's literally just typing the names of assets in the header row and typing dates down the column, the far left column. Like there's more value. If I gave it to you, you would have it and you would feel like you were going to do it. If I tell you that you got to go make it yourself, you will put it together in a way that is going to be interesting and valuable for you to use it. There's not really a lot of ways to screw it up. If you need help, I would love to review your sheet. Like I said, I have friends that we trade and grade each other's sheets. We trade and grade each other's, things that we track, the payment thing, the amortization schedules, those things. And so if you want anybody to bounce things off of, you'll always have that in me. All right, jumping back into the presentation. So that is the process to track your net worth. So how to influence your net worth? Well, I am a huge proponent of tracking it. There is no more powerful thing in our repertoire to create change than to become aware of what needs to change. The second thing is pay down your debt. If you are fortunate to have no personal debt, no consumer debt, no bankruptcy debt, no consolidated debt, no student loan debt, any of those things, like, good. Then you're going to have a mortgage and maybe a car payment, something like that. Get aggressive on paying down your debt. I can talk very sophisticatedly about what I just did. Like, hey, I've got this interest rate at 4%. I'm making 5% on my money. That's a 1% gap. We did a reverse book club on the psychology of money. You really need to know yourself in this. And if you are going to feel better having zero debt or owning that your property outright, like paying off your home more quickly, then go ahead and do it. If you can rationalize that you've got a 4% rate and you can make 6% on your money and it would be dumb to pay it down too soon, then don't. This is your wealth journey, and everybody shares their ahas and their tactics in hindsight, right? I can tell you that I carry some debt on a piece of land that is small, and it is a relatively small note, and I have it at a great rate, and it's very difficult for me every single month not to just wipe out that debt, and it's silly, right? Because it's like the difference in the money is, $100 a year probably I save by not paying it off. But that's just, that's an exercise in discipline for me. For you, you might say, hey, listen, I got this money now. I want to be done with it and not have a monthly payment and really relieve myself from the monthly burden of this note. Cool, do that. But paying down the debt is, how's this? You can pay debt down faster than you can grow assets. I believe that. And so that is why it is a really great thing. If you can zero out your standing liabilities, then everything you earn can flow through to net worth. Think about that. If, that's like the closest thing to not paying taxes. If every dollar you make is a dollar that your assets go up and therefore your total net worth goes up, you're in a really, really, really powerful position. And guys, please understand, we're not talking about how to have a $50 million net worth or how to become a accredited investor. For some of you, the next goal might be, I want to get a net worth of 0. You might be sitting there with negative net worth. That's fine. I would say a lot of people on this call, myself included, at some point in life had a negative net worth, and that's okay. Your first milestone is getting to even, and then it's getting to $10,000 or $100,000, and then picking where you want to go from there. As I said, pursuing good debt. Good debt is a home, an investment property. It is not dumb debt, which is running up your personal credit cards, right? Vacations. You never go into debt. Never put a vacation on a credit card. Never put I wouldn't put as little on credit cards as you possibly can. If you are insecure in your income or inconsistent in your income, put as little on credit cards as humanly possible. Your APR on credit cards is north of 20. It's like 18 to 21%, right? It's very hard to get out of that debt. When you think about like we're scared to death of interest rates approaching 7%, but we'll max out a credit card with an interest rate of 21%. Don't put anything on credit cards. Don't put vacations on credit cards. Don't put clothes on credit cards. Force yourself to save the money and buy in cash. I promise by the time you save the money and you go to buy in cash, you won't really want it. That's 9 times out of 10 for me, at least. And so, pursuing good debt is going to be investment properties, anything that has a corresponding asset to it, right? Cars are tough because they drop value really quickly. So buy used cars, buy them in cash. And then you effectively immediately transfer that asset. Somebody else has already eaten the loss. And then leverage our professional network of business resource partners. Work with an accountant, work with a financial advisor, work with legal partners, whether it's to structure entities, get wills, get access to life insurance, form trusts if you're at a stage and age and have an asset class that allows you to put things in a trust to make transfer of wealth that much easier. You name it. There's likely a professional that has an affiliation with our organization that is going to be in a great position to fast track your growth in terms of net worth. What questions do we have about this? I know it was both, it's very simple, but as we are taught, success is simple, not easy. We naturally want things to be more complex, right? We want to get the stock tip. We want to get the inside track on this, or, we'd rather spend all of our time building the time machine to go back to 2011 and buy all those properties in Euclid. But we can't do that. So what are we going to do now? Right? Simple thing is just start paying attention to it. I promise you, if you see your net worth declining week over week over week, you'll start behaving differently. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is ignorance. So what questions do we have? I'll take questions or ahas.
Hi, can you hear me, Michael?
Yes, sir, I can.
So if you want to lose weight, you should probably weigh yourself once a day, once a week.
Yep.
And so you're absolutely right. You got to monitor it. And then maybe you drive past and you're almost done with that car payment, almost done, and you buy a new one. And you're in debt for 30 or 40 years before you would get up and say, I'm not doing it again. But yeah, monitor it. And maybe you can't do it every week, but once a month is a good idea. Right around bill time. So
yeah, I mean, I started it once a month, and then once a month wasn't enough for me. It was once a week. I had to be once a week.
Yeah. But it also affirms that, hey, I'm still on the right path. And unfortunately, you may not be the only one. But then when you share those thoughts with someone that might be, investing with you, go, oh, well, Jesus, why didn't you tell me this a year ago, 10 years ago? So yeah, monitor it. And I think you just the fact that you're monitoring it, you realize where the waste is going. I had one guy had 80 transactions in a month trying to do a loan, and most of them were dinner and expensive dinners,
yeah.
So just eat at home. I mean, 1 or 2 days a week is fine, but when you're going out 5-10 days, that's 10 days would be like lunch and dinner. So yeah, monitor it and try to resist buying those brand new cars.
Well, yeah, and I think, never buy a brand new car. Don't buy a car off the lot until you have all of the investment properties you need to pay for it. But I will say, there's strategically for me, I do my net worth on Friday evenings because I'm going into the weekend, right? It's hard to spend money at work for me, right? It's hard for me to spend money at the office. And so I spend a lot of time at the office throughout the week. I have been known to darken the door of this location on the weekend as well. But the reason I capture my net worth is on Fridays is I want to understand where I am going into the weekend. I also do my income statement every Friday at the same time, so that as I walk into the weekend, if I took a beating that week, I am going, from an economic standpoint, maybe the markets got hurt, maybe I had some unexpected expenses, right, on that car that I'm stretching into its second decade. I'm gonna make different decisions as a result of understanding that I didn't make the progress that I wanted to, right? And that's really helpful because it's real time. Instead of waking up, in 3 years and wondering where I stand and having no ability to build that time machine and influence it. What else?
Hey, Mike, this is Stephanie. So for me,
Stephanie.
hi. So I probably visited this net worth maybe 10 years, 10 years ago here and there. So my son is home from college and I said, yeah, I'm going to join this net worth conference call. So we were just talking like, well, what, we're just in our heads like, okay, what do you think that your net worth is? And I'm like, wow. So you try to put things quickly in your head. And of course I'm wrong after seeing all of these other things, indicators that I need to put together in a sheet. So for me, this was an aha moment, and also actually revisiting it every month or whatever it's good for you, because if you don't, it just falls behind like everything else and you just don't continue with it. And so thank you. This was a really good call. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. And so great. I mean, I hope your son was listening in on the call as well. This is something that I started 10 years after I graduated college. And it's something that I, if I would have been thinking about when I was 22 or 23 years old, I would have, who knows, I might not even be here. It could have been retired, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That's great. Thanks for sharing. All right, let's get one or two more. DeLuca, you're no stranger to this game. Anything jump out at you, or anything that you were like, hey, you didn't talk about this. Why didn't you talk about that?
Just an aha I had is the homeowners on average have a higher net worth. And it's something that we can use to educate our clients with. And the properties that I purchased in 2018 had no idea the appreciation they'd be at right now. And it's pretty remarkable. So definitely, if you have time on your side.
And I promise you, everybody on this call has time on their side, right? Like what's going to happen in the next 10 years, that's time. So one thing I will say on this property piece, where you can see this person's tracking their property, and this is let me think of who. Okay, so I think this is land in Southwest Ohio. This person purchased in 2018 and has not updated the value of it, right? So this is an interesting thing when you think about like, what is the, should I be like doing a CMA on my home every week to understand the value? There's a lot of different beliefs around this, like, because truly this is just a number on a page, right? Until you go to sell it, right? Like, so let's say there's 10 acres of buildable land in this. Well, in the last 5 years, it's probably worth a lot more, right? But if the intention is to never sell that, it is worth what it was when it was paid for. That's the base value of that asset. So you can go either way, as Ryan said, like the appreciation of homes that he would have bought in 2018 are substantially higher now. He won't realize that until he goes to access the equity in those, right? You want to leverage the existing equity, you want to sell the property, whatever it is, he'll realize those gains. So those can, a sale could be a taxable event and things of that nature. And he may never do that, right? Because he's not, maybe Ryan is building his investment portfolio not for an equity play, but for cash flow, right? Perhaps that's it. Or maybe it's a little bit of both. Either way, if you were to run the value of those 10 acres now, this might be a $250,000 value from a property standpoint, but that's, really it's dealer's choice there. But it's pretty cool. You look in the last 5 years, this individual is, these numbers aren't real, so never mind. I've fudged the numbers to, again, protect the innocent, for sharing their stuff with me. But yeah, it's a a great call out. And hey, another great way, because listen, this the value of that property that you buy in the next 10 years is going to go up, right? Historically speaking, there's never been a 10-year period where property values are lower than they were 10 years ago, even during the Great Recession, right? You bought a home at the peak of the market in 2007. By 2017, it was worth more. Even though for a moment it was worth half of what you paid for it. So over a 10-year period, your payment is going to stay the same. The value of the property, statistically speaking, is likely to go up, but your payment will not. That's good debt. Asset that grows on its own and appreciates on its own. Give me one more aha or one more question or one more takeaway. One more thing that you're going to go do right now.
Hi, Michael, Ed again. I was eavesdropping, I shouldn't have been, right around 2008, and kind of a high and mighty banker, you know, I think I picked him up from the airport, and I'm eavesdropping, and my boss will kill me if I go over, 9 cents on the dollar. So he was buying units, $33,000 units, all, when you do your pre-work. So you're going to put 100 houses up, and the value at that time was down to, like you said, 25%. And they were making an offer at 9 cents on the dollar in 2008. And by 2011, they were back to 33 grand. So, in the banking, the people that only charge 5 and 6%, the bankers are making a lot of money. And you're talking about, say $3,000 for $33,000 lots. And these are already, the lines are in, the streets are in, you just need a construction guy. So opportunities there, but sometimes we just say, well, you pass it. I don't know about GameStop. That was a good deal. So yeah, keep an open mind. And if you think you're ready to strike, go get your pre-approval letter, go get something, because in the real estate, it's 3 years good, 3 years bad, and 3 years in between. So, but yeah, it was just an interesting thing that here's a banker with, his boss saying, don't go over 9.5 cents on the dollar. So food for thought.
Yeah, I think that, you make a good point there about how do you put yourself in a position to be able to do the things that you want to do, right? We can wish to be rich and wealthy and all these other things, or you can, put in the work day in and day out to think about what you spend, how you spend it, pay down your debt, take on good debt, increase your assets, make smart investments, take appropriate amounts of risk, and then inside of a decade, your world will look tremendously different. All right, guys, if you want help with this is one of the things that I really love to do, is to help people build habits around their financial awareness and their financial acumen. Do not outsource this. Don't say like, oh yeah, my accountant tracks my net worth. Because whose net worth do you think your accountant cares about more? His or yours? Hers or yours? Like, if you don't care about this, then you have to come sit with me and talk to me one-on-one and convince me that the sum total of your economic value is unimportant, and your ability to pass it on to your kids and grandkids. Because people that die with negative net worth don't pass anything on. People that die with millions and millions and millions of dollars held in trust pass it on without the government being able to get their fingers on it. I know which one I intend to do, and I would love to help you do the same. Thank you, guys.